So a market crash of 13% has been reported today. In this video, I'm going to talk about the headlines that have just hit all of the social media platforms and news websites. So I'm going to give you my view on, do I think it's going to crash, how much it's going to slump by, and where the opportunities are, and what's going to affect the property market. So before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to smash subscribe and hit the little bell notifications. So I'm seeing it already on the Facebook, all the groups, all of the gurus sharing that the property market is going to drop by 13%. Do you know what? I've been saying on a few videos now, because I've been posting one every 2 or 3 days, that it is going to drop. Some of the prices that I've definitely started to see in my own personal area and some of the ones that I'm buying is around 10%. But that is specific to my location and my niche that I'm looking to buy in. Semi-commercial, student accommodation, pubs, that sort of thing. Do I think that we're going to see a 10-13% overall decline across the UK? I think it's very, very unlikely. You have to remember what's happening at the moment is a forced squeeze or a freeze to the property market. That is where people can't go and view, exchanges are being delayed, people can't be evicted from rental properties, people can't view new properties to buy, people can't view new properties to rent. So there's a squeeze at the moment, there's a restriction. It's not through any lack of desire or ability, but we'll come on to the ability with regards to lenders, because we are seeing a huge amount of lenders exit the market in the short period of time, but they will come back in some shape, form or another. What do I think is going to happen in the market? Inevitably, regardless of all the government intervention, they can't pay everyone's wage, they can't pay everyone's rent, and they can't replace all of the lost revenue that companies will lose. The economy within the UK is going to shrink. There's some analysis saying it's going to shrink by like 4%, some are saying a fifth. No one knows for sure, because no one knows how long the aftermath or the spillage of this lockdown is going to go on for. It's not going to be a case the lockdown is going to be removed day one and day two everything's going to be back to normal. Even when the full lockdown circumstances are lifted, people are going to be very, very nervous, very wary. And as I've said in one of my previous videos, the new world is going to emerge and the new way of doing business is going to be the norm after this. We could talk about this together for a very long time, but in a very short overview, people are going to cut spending, people are losing jobs, companies are taking less money, and everything overall is being squeezed, and it will do for definitely the short to medium term. That is going to restrict the ability, the desire, whatever you want to call it, to buying, selling and renting properties. But it is going to be a shorter lived impact than anything else that we have seen in the past. The 2008, the one in the early 90s, and way before that, way before my lifetime. This is not going to be a huge slump down, a huge drop down, and then a gradual, long-winded recovery. It's also not going to be a V that a lot of people have reported. It's not going to drop and then spike straight back up. We're going to see more of a U, and it's going to come up a lot quicker than previously, but not straight away. Even though it's going to come up, it's not going to come up in the old way, or the way that we're all used to. It's going to improve in different sectors and different markets, which I've talked about in previous videos. Why am I telling you this? Well, we need to be ready for not only what the slump is and the opportunities. Yes, it's dropping. It already has dropped. I'm picking up deals at least 10% lower than before all this happened, and it is the nature of the beast. I spoke to a couple of estate agents. Even though there are restrictions on viewings, tenant evictions, exchanges, completions, solicitors, all these various things, business is still happening. We've just got to adapt. The estate agents are still contactable over their mobile phones, over emails, and they're still in contact with their vendors. It's just a different way of dissecting the opportunity to eventually do business. And when you find the right deal and the right set of circumstances and you can get it at the right price, then you get a good deal and you're going to be able to make something of it. When everyone starts to jump on this bandwagon and business does start to resume and recover, that's where the U is going to come. And as it spikes, the U is going to go beyond where it was. And I think by mid to end 2021, we're going to be back into a boom. That is obviously dependent on everything to do with this virus. We could see a prolonged lockdown period, which will inevitably prolong the recovery. We could see a second spike, so we all go back to some form of normality, and then it spikes again towards the end of the year. Anything is possible, and anything can impact on what we're discussing, what I'm talking to you about right now. So just be prepared. I said it in an earlier video, cash is king. I'm looking at some of the deals now, and I'm looking in Norwich. We definitely aren't at the lower end in terms of prices. You can't really pick up properties for like 40, 50k as you can in some of other territories in the UK. Equally, we're not 500, 600k for a terraced house. We're sort of in the middle, a good balance. But my attitude towards buying properties at like 250k has completely changed, because things like stamp duty, do I really want to be forking out 10 grand in stamp duty, which is going to be a huge cut of your margin in this squeezed set of circumstances? Now, I know every deal has its own merits, and I'm a big believer in that. Talking about cash is king, 10 grand's worth of cash in stamp duty versus say a couple of grand or 3 grand on a much lower priced property has definitely got me thinking. And there is a pot of cash, but there's only so much cash you can spend, and cash is going to be harder to make go further if you're spending lots of money on fees, interest, stamp duty, and those sorts of things, refurbs as well. So I've been looking at some of the lower priced properties, the sort of 100 to 130k. Now, I'm giving away a trade secret here. Auctions are definitely the place to buy at the moment. I cannot tell you how much I've been inundated from auctioneers making sure I'm coming along, making sure I'm going to bid online, offering me to underwrite properties so they've got that guaranteed sale regardless of what happens in the online room. Just by auctions being online, that removes a huge amount of competition. One, because some people don't know how to log on and some people can't be bothered. Two, it's very difficult to get into the emotional state when you're not in that room. The amount of deals that I've bid at auction and I've lost because an emotional person's got carried away with the bidding, that's very hard to do with an online auction. So that gives you a huge opportunity to go in there and buy properties currently online auction. There's one this week. I've got 4 properties on my radar, which I think I'm gonna get significantly below market value, at least 10%, but I think it's going to be closer to 15%. The honest answer is we are going to see a slump, and it is going to be 10%, it may be 13% in some sectors, not across the UK market. Don't worry if you own properties, they are going to go down. My own portfolio is going to go down in value, but that doesn't matter because my rental income is what that is there to do and produce, and it will eventually bounce back. I'm not technically handing 10-15% of my money over to someone and I'm never going to see it again. It's a blip, it's a market adjustment, and the adjustment isn't going to affect what I currently own because I'm not looking to sell. However, it is going to give me a huge opportunity to step in and buy some really cheap stock. And when I say cheap stock, I mean at the lower end, and I mean multiple units. I'm not looking at the moment to buy £500 million plus individual properties which need a planning gain, or which needs a large development loan, or which need to go out to tender, because I don't know how long this slump is going to last for. The U could be a little U or it could be a big U, we just don't know. So I'm not looking to tie up huge amounts of capital, I'm not looking to create a huge amount of exposure and a huge amount of work which I don't know how unpredictable it's going to be in terms of controlling that amount of work when taking on these types of projects, planning gains, developments, etc. But if I go for the smaller, lower cost units which have a refurb time of anything from 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, then I can get in and out of those deals and get them rented quite quickly.
Crisis dependent.
And I would urge anyone, don't 10x everything like I said on a previous video, and thank you for so many private messages about that video and how welcomed it was. This is not about making things look very good. This is about creating low risk, high margin gains in property. So really quick video, 13% decline. Yes, it's coming. Could be more, could be less. Don't know how long it's going to be for. Just get ready for the opportunities. Buy low, buy multiple units. Don't overexpose yourself. Hope you found the content rich. Catch you soon.